know we get pretty passionate MMA commentary here. Half of them think I'm an idiot. The other half think I'm a genius. So, they're both right, by the way. Everyone, they're both right on that one. Actually, I said that, Conor could be the second greatest mixed martial artist on the planet right now. I almost, in my mind, I've retracted that. And then I go back and said, what, Khabib is retired now. If Khabib's not retired, then we got to take that away from Conor. But being that Khabib is retired, I'm finding it hard to find anyone else in the UFC outside of John Jones who can take that next spot.
Yeah, that'll be the next headline. Mike Dolce makes outlandish claim.
Of course.
And
of course it is. It's always fun. I remember some of the outlandish claims is one when I said Daniel Cormier should be a middleweight. People freaked out. I said, well, Daniel's my height.
That's true.
He's my height. He's probably at heavyweight. He was probably fighting around 30% body fat. At 205, he was probably at 30% body fat. Mm-hmm. You look at Daniel on the scale at 205. I mean, you are a registered dietitian, Lindsay Howard, an expert in all things weight management and nutrition and dietetics. I mean, could you have seen Daniel losing another 20 pounds of body fat from his 205 pound weigh-ins?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to put the work in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny watching his fight against Stipe, both of them. They fought twice or three times. I can't remember.
3 times. Where Stipe won 1, Daniel won 1, and then Stipe won 1. Yeah.
But it's just funny looking at the stature differences. It's like me at 6'2", standing next to most people.
Yeah.
It's just like looking up at the guy, but physique wise, I mean, he could have easily done that, I think.
That's Daniel Cormier is one of the rare unicorn athletes in combat sports, where Daniel truly could have been the 185-pound world champion, where I think he would have been at his best athletically. The 205-pound world champion, which he was, and the heavyweight world champion, which he was. Now, like you said, if he was willing to put in the work, and that's the problem, where I like Daniel. So nothing I'm saying is negative of Daniel, but it is critical of some of his lifestyle habits. And hey, the guy is going to be in the UFC Hall of Fame. He's a 2-division world champion. He's a multimillionaire with a lot more money coming his way. But Daniel Cormier could have gone down in the record books as the greatest combat athlete of all time, winning 3 titles in 3 different divisions, if he would have changed his lifestyle habits, in my opinion. And Lindsay Howard, MSRD, LRD, CSCS, I want to hear your opinion here also. If he took 1 year, 2 years specifically, and focused on recompositioning his body, on scraping off that body fat, because truly he was probably competing closer to the 30% body fat at both heavyweight and 205. Now, he's a big muscular guy, right? But when you look at a guy like Anthony Rumble Johnson, who used to make 170 and 185, 205, and heavyweight, you look at a guy like Daniel, who's shorter, not as heavily muscled as Rumble, and I'm just saying proof of concept.
Right.
I think Daniel Cormier, just size-wise, height-wise, he gave up so many advantages to his competitors, and is such a great athlete, he won.
Yeah.
I believe he could have easily made 185 with the right lifestyle plan and commitment around him and been a 3-division world champion. What say you, Lindsay Howard?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's like, you look at some of these heavyweights that, show up, they're like 260 or whatever, and then they take their time off and they lose like 20 pounds and they get leaner and fitter. They may be lighter than the heavyweight that they're fighting, but they're faster, they're more muscular, they're more explosive, their conditioning is better. They're just a healthier person. So instead of looking, and I'm not saying all heavyweights, because they certainly don't look overweight or of a higher body fat percentage, but you could just tell they're just more athletic, just in that slight adjustment. So it would have been interesting to see, Daniel Cormier, as dominant as he was as an athlete and a wrestler, if he did put that work in, say year 2, shred 8-10% of your body fat, and see what kind of athletic beast you could have become.
Yeah. He would have been, again, He's one of the few greats, 2-division world champion. Who have we got? We got Randy Couture. We have BJ Penn. We have Henry Cejudo, Amanda Nunez, Connor, 145 and 55, yeah. Connor and DC. Out of all of them, DC is the only one that truly, I think, could have won. And we got George St. Pierre, who actually did go up to 85, right? So give George, that's 7 right there. That was kind of a gimme fight for George, I think, beat Bisping at the very end of his career with one eye, and that way he was compromised. Man. So anyway, I mean, what he will come, he's not coming back. I'm not saying DC at 43 years older now, 43 years old is going to come back and cut down to 185 just to make you and I happy. But at the same time, maybe that's the man's legacy. Take a year off behind the scenes, make some serious lifestyle changes, get down to 12% body fat, 10% body fat, live in that body for a good 6 months to a year, improve your leverage points, get used to the balance, the flexibility, all the differences that come with that new physique. Yeah. Plus, I think, and right now, even at that weight class, could you imagine DC versus Adesanya? You want to talk about that's going to sell 1 million plus pay-per-views, no problem. 1.5 million easily. That might be one of the biggest sellers in history.
Mm-hmm. And I think DC, I actually hope he does this and comes back. He has such the mental side of the game from coaching and commentating. You could just tell he knows the ins and outs of what people are doing, why they're doing it, what they should have done, what they could have done. So I think it's funny. I'll relate it to when I get the opportunity to play and practice, beat my players up. If I had that mental edge when I was a player, it's a game changer. Yeah. So, talking about basketball here, but just seeing it from a coach's point of view and then going back in as a player in a player situation, it's just crazy what that mental side of it does. So I do think that's definitely something that he has to his advantage.
Agreed. And I think that's probably what makes DC as dominant as he has been, is his mental side. Right. Probably none tougher than DC. A few are at that level in the game, but not as many. And I agree with you, because he was able to give up serious advantages and beat guys. Some could even say better athletes, based upon his mental toughness. And that's, I remember when DC first came in to MMA and he was sponsored by the boys over at Cage Fighter, it was embrace the grind. He had that grind style. He was a grinder. That is relentless. The grind style is harder on the aggressor in many ways than it is on the victim. And I use the term victim, not opponent, right? Because the amount of pain you have to go through to be that style of fighter it's all training camp. Yeah. That type of mentality. And you're a competitor out there, you're a high level athlete. So seeing an athlete like DC, he certainly stands out. That's what Khabib has. I think that's why they get along so well. That, DC is the captain of AKA, and Khabib is through that facility. And a lot of the guys over there have that same mentality. And I mean, you can even see the way when he fought John Jones, man, he gave John Jones hell. Oh, I know. And John Jones structurally is a gifted athlete outside of his work ethic, which John has. You don't beat the guys John beat simply because he's gifted. John's got, he's got the work ethic, but athletically, a guy that tall, that long, with that type of accuracy and balance and flexibility, right? Those are hard to come by. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like a genetic freak. You have everything. You have the lever arms. You've got the length, you've got the the leanness, the muscle, and it's a rare find. Usually you see somebody of his height. What's John Jones? He's like 6'4" maybe.
I think he's 6'4", yeah.
Yeah. He's a big dude, but he doesn't look scrawny or skinny. No. And at 6'4" and fighting at 205, if you saw a lot of other 6'4", 205-pound guys, you could be pretty scrawny and pretty. So it is interesting to see. It's just UFC is or MMA just in general. When I talk about body composition in my classes, I always bring up MMA examples and put two people next to each other This
Yep.
person fights at, 170, and so does this person, and they look 50 pounds different.
Yep.
So it's very interesting.
It is. Yeah, it is. And that's one of the fun things, especially like wrestling, let's say. You look at some wrestlers, the disparity within a weight class is incredible.
Wild.
Right? You get these like little like jack gymnast looking bodybuilder dudes fighting these just tall, like gangly, like Gumby looking, like lanky guys in the same weight class. And those matches are typically wars, which is always fun to watch, right? It's always fun to watch like the super lanky guy versus the little like, fire hydrant guy. And then anyone listening, wherever you're watching this podcast, probably fits on the YouTube channel. Of course, the audio podcast, we appreciate you guys. I'd love to hear what you guys think. So feel free to leave it below.